What is going on, Bucs fans and CFP fans? Evan Wanish here, back at you with another video talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And today we're going to be continuing our positional reviews for the 2024-25 season. Continuing on the defensive side of the ball, we have done the offensive side of the ball and a couple on the defensive side. But if you want to check those out, head on over to the Podcast YouTube channel. Today, though, we'll be taking a look at the inside linebackers, a group that was a weakness for the Buccaneers. It did have some bright spots, particularly probably because of one dude, but it was a weakness, I would say, for the most part. And to break it down, I am not alone in this video. Joining me today is Mr. James Hill, aka Mr. Bucs Nation. James, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, another great group to talk about, Evan. Let me tell you. I mean, this is the one-man show, and we all know who the man is, okay? No, but I am excited to dive into it and kind of review this group. And it's not. We'll see what happens.
But yes, we will. With that being said, though, let's get right into who is in the room. We're going to start off with KJ Britt, Lavonte David. Not sure if you ever heard of that guy. Servassier Dennis, Antonio Greer Jr., Deion Jennings, who just recently signed a futures contract with the Bucs, Deion Jones, who, yes, it's that Deion Jones, the Atlanta Falcon, the former Atlanta Falcon, actually made a couple plays in the Commanders, the playoff game. So, and JJ Russell. So that is the inside linebackers there. KJ Britt, I Bleav, is scheduled to be a free agent. Obviously, Lavonte David is scheduled to be a free agent. Now, we don't know what Lavonte David is going to decide to do. I think at this point it's either retirement or back to Tampa Bay. I don't really foresee him playing anywhere else. But as of the recording of this video, he has not yet made that decision. So we will have to wait and see there. But 2024, the Bucs obviously let Devin White go, right? So they're looking at a linebacker room with basically Lavonte David, KJ Britt, and Servassier Dennis. KJ Britt was a starter for them towards the end of the 2023 season, started the last two playoff games, and did decent, right? Like, didn't play bad. Starts pretty much the entire 2024 season. Servassier Dennis gets hurt, which obviously hurts the team's depth there. And it just doesn't really go well for KJ Britt. Where do you think it went wrong for this linebacker room here?
I think in over-reliance on Lavonte David going into his age 34 season, right? Because, like, yes, while you did have KJ Britt last year replace Devin White, and he did some decent stuff in the couple of playoff games and whatnot, right? And you did have Servassier Dennis in there as well, which was cool. I like Servassier Dennis. You should have had another veteran inside linebacker in there, right? Whenever you started to realize that things weren't working out with KJ Britt, and even like maybe you could have brought, I think you could have made the argument they still should have brought one in during the off season, right? Like Deion Jones shouldn't have been added in like week 16 of the regular season. He's a guy that you could have added all the way back at the beginning of the season. And it's like, okay, you still have a little bit of a veteran buffer there in case Britt isn't working out right. But then what happened? Well, Lavonte David, and I love this man to death, but did take a bit of a step back this year because, you know, he is 34, 35 years old now. KJ Britt was not necessarily, I would even say not necessarily, he wasn't really a starting caliber linebacker. And I don't mind them taking the swing on that, but he's very much playing like a fifth-round draft pick from a few seasons ago, which is like, hey, he's fine in a rotation, and I mean, he's a very solid special teams player, but like, don't necessarily think you can rely on him going forward as a full season starter, right? Servassier Dennis did some good stuff, but he went down with injury. You had undrafted free agent player JJ Russell rotating in at the end of the year. KJ Britt became the very thing he swore to destroy, which was a linebacker that gets benched at the end of the season for a different linebacker. I mean, and Deion Jones had to come in, and V Jones came in and played it in some moments, right? So like, this was just it felt like just a revolving door of guys, right? Like some weeks it'd be Britt, then JJ Russell was in there for a little bit. Okay, then Servassier Dennis is in, but then Servassier Dennis gets hurt. Okay, now V Jones is in for a little bit. Okay, now V Jones is out. Okay, now Deion Jones is in. And to be honest, Evan, like I like some of these guys in vacuums, like KJ Britt, like he's okay. Like, you could do worse depth than KJ Britt, but to have him be a full-time starter, not really the case, right? And now, like, KJ Britt, I think is going to be on the way out. I think he may look to go somewhere else. Servassier Dennis, I like him a lot, but now you're going to have to kind of slowly bring him in rather than throw him to the fire like you just did with KJ Britt, right? I don't think you should run into that same mistake again. JJ Russell's fine, but as like a fourth or fifth linebacker, right? Deion Jones is an interesting veteran to me. He's a guy where it's like, hey, keep him around, because if you need somebody to come in and give you some starts, or if Lavonte David retires, which me and you both kind of feel like that's a pretty significant possibility, you can at least have some veteran presence type in the locker room while you continue to add more pieces, be it in free agency and the draft.
Yeah, I think I do agree with your assessment that they just look, they put all their eggs in the Lavonte David basket, right? And I think they also put some eggs in the KJ Britt basket, right? Because again, Britt played well in 2023. Like, there was the moments where Britt was good, but I think you look at that and just like you said, depth wise, I think he's a good player to have, right? He's a useful player as your third or fourth linebacker, and maybe even as your second for a limited time. But when you're starting him for an entire 17-game season, he's going to get exposed. And I think the Bucs found that out the hard way on more than one occasion this past season. And he just doesn't really have the athleticism enough to play pass coverage like you need to in today's NFL. And let's be honest with ourselves. The Lavonte David that the Bucs got in 2024, Father Time is undefeated, right? And I'm not saying Lavonte David's washed. He's not. He's still a good player. A downhill runner. He's still very, very good and effective, right? Great tackler. Great, his IQ is off the charts. But he did lose a little bit of a step, right? Especially in pass coverage. He has lost a little bit of a step. I remember in that Cowboys game on Sunday Night Football, the Cowboys targeted Lavonte David in coverage, like made it a point to throw at him in pass coverage. So, that's something, if he returns, right, which he may or may not, I actually sort of, now the fact that we haven't heard anything about it, I'm kind of leaning towards maybe he does come back. I think we would have heard something about it by now. But even if he does, he's going to be another year older. Like, I don't think you can expect him to suddenly improve at pass coverage. So I do think there's going to need to be some changes along this linebacker room. KJ Britt, I do not expect that to be back. Servassier Dennis, I think they like him, but I expect them, just like you said, to not necessarily throw him to the wolves, right? I think they're going to either sign a guy in free agency. I don't think it's going to be like a Dre Greenlaw or anything like that, like a big money guy. I don't see them spending big money at the position, or I could see them drafting one. There's a couple guys. Jahad Campbell is a guy in the first round that they could potentially look at out of Alabama. So there's a couple guys on day 2 that they could potentially look at. So I do think it will be addressed. And we'll see what happens. But now you're also kind of trying to imagine if Lavonte David does return, I'd put it like a 95% chance that this is probably his last season then. Like, I wouldn't expect him to return for 2026. So you're going to have to start planning for life after Lavonte David as well. So that's why I think the draft might be the spot where the Bucs look to address the linebacker position there.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I could see the Bucs doing both, but I do think
I could see him doing both. Yes.
Yeah, like, in my opinion, I think they should.
I think they should. Yeah.
Yeah, like here's the thing for me, man. Like, why not? Like, we talked about this in the edge rusher thing. Double down, bro. Like, these weaknesses that they have on defense are glaring weaknesses. Like, it's freaking shining in the sun. Like, you need help at inside linebacker pretty significantly, in my opinion, and you need help at edge rusher pretty significantly, in my opinion. So, like, look, it's fine if you, and I agree with you. Lavonte David is not to the point where it's like, hey, you should retire.
No, the Bucs should want him back.
Right. But like, we are certainly to the point where it's like, hey, he needs some significant help here. Right. So yeah, get somebody else in free agency, whoever that may be, and honestly, Evan, like, get a linebacker in round 2 or get a linebacker in round 3, like, bring in more help, right? Because, the Devin White thing not working a couple seasons ago, that was huge for them, right? That kind of changes the entire future of that position. Because it should be Devin White is the future right now, right? Or is basically the present, and it's not. So like now you've got to replace that. You have to get a young guy, a young stud where it's like, okay, this guy can be our next guy for the next 5 or 6 years, right? Or at the very least, bring in somebody in free agency who can hold you over for a couple of seasons, right? Because like you said, Lavonte likely, if he does come back, has 1 year left, and you just need to give him some help. Otherwise, you're not going to have. You can't keep on. Again, I said it before in the edge rusher video. You can't just keep on scraping the barrel and go, let's find a gem, let's find a gem, let's find a gem. Because right now, you keep on coming up with coal. You know, like you keep on coming up with nothing. You've been scraping and being, for lack of a better word, Evan, cheap, so to speak, at edge rusher and at inside linebacker, and it's been biting you in the butt hard the past 2 seasons. It's time to change that mentality and start investing some higher tier resources again. And we've been seeing it at edge rusher, but get back to inside linebacker, man. Like get back to investing in that position.
Definitely agree. So, and I think the Bucs will. I don't know how much, or I don't know if we'll get our wish where they get one in free agency and then in the draft. We'll see. I think it's definitely a pretty good chance they get one in either one, right? In either the draft or free agency. But we'll have to wait and see. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know if you think Lavonte David's going to retire or not. Like I said, as of the recording of this video, there has not been a decision made. Now, Lavonte David could make us look like dummies. He could announce his retirement tomorrow, and this video may be a little bit different. We may have to redo the video if he does that quickly, because things would change significantly if Lavonte David's not there. So let us know in the comment section below what you think of the linebacker room. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you to James for joining me on this video. Thank you all for watching this video, and go Bucs.